Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Felicia, and first off, let me say I'm excited you're here. I'm happy you're here. Today, I would love to dive into a topic that resonates so deeply with many of us, and that is reinventing ourselves for a new season in life. So regardless of whether you are feeling stuck in the past or ready to start a new, bright future for yourself, I believe this video could be for you. I personally have gone through every single part of this process, and I would love to explore and talk about this journey with you. The first step in this process is not really hard for most of us, and that is recognizing the need for change. Life just starts giving us those subtle cues, and then those subtle cues turn into just loud trumpets sounding at us saying, hey, it is time for a new you. It is time for something different, right? Oftentimes we feel trapped. We feel as though we can't take a step forward or a step backwards because we are currently living in the consequences of the choices that we made in the past. Maybe that choice was taking that job that you knew you probably should have turned down. Or maybe it's staying in that relationship that just drains you physically, mentally, just leaves you exhausted. Or maybe it's those bad habits, bad people in your life that you just can't seem to rid yourself of. And that is a choice that you are making, to keep that in your life. It's easy to feel like these choices are what's going to define your future. The truth is, we have the freedom right now, today, to choose who we want to be, how we want our future to be. Right now, in this moment, today, we can choose to hang out with the devil we all know, right there in that little comfort zone, or we can choose to embrace change. We can start the hard work right now of reinventing ourselves. But let me tell you, the journey is not an easy one, but it is super, super rewarding. Now, the second step in this process, to me, is the most important, and that is taking responsibility. It is crucial that you see yourself as the creator of your new self and your new future. Even if right now you yourself are the product and you are living in the consequences of someone else's bad choices, it is still your responsibility to make the choice to move past that, and all that is required in order for you to do that. Right here, right now, you must take that responsibility. And let me tell you why. Taking ownership will enable you to heal from the past, to face those current challenges you are sitting in right now, and to grab hold of the future self that you wish to be, of that future life that you wish to have. The outcomes that we wish to have are created right here and right now by the choices that we choose to make, by the actions that we choose to take in this moment. So it is super important to ask yourself, what can I do right now? What do I have within my power to change right now? What can I do right now to begin this journey to the new me? And that just may be a shift in your attitude. That could be being more grateful. That could be forgiving. That could be developing a softer, kinder heart that could lead you to more understanding. It could be numerous things. It doesn't have to be this gigantic leap from one extreme to the other. Sometimes the process needs to start slowly, but ultimately, first and foremost, you have to start seeing yourself as the creator that is going to lead themselves to acting like the person they want to become, then feeling like the person they want to become, making choices and decisions like the person they want to become, and ultimately becoming the person you want to become. And if you think about it, you've been doing this your entire life. But for some reason, we get to a certain point in adulthood and it just seems like we've never done anything new in our lives. But just think back to those days in elementary school or you were going off to middle school or junior high. That was a major life shift. And then you went from junior high to high school and then to college, and you stepped into the new season of marriage or professionalism. Either way, that required a change in the person that you were. It required you to step into the new person for the new season of your life. That has not left you. You have the ability to do that now. And that is going to move us into step 3. This is where we are going to create some clear goals. Now, I have heard this a million times before. Create goals, create goals. I was creating goals. In reality, they were really unattainable at that point in time. Now, I consider myself to be a go-getter, but sometimes you just have to be realistic with where you are in life and what you are dealing with. So here is where I say, use caution, use discernment, hear and understand. Yes, you need to be working toward goals, but we need to set clear, achievable goals. This is where our confidence, our momentum is going to come from. Begin to ask yourself, what does my ideal life look like? What do I look like living that life? And then break these goals down into actionable steps. For example, if you hate your job and you just are eager to leave that place, start looking at new career options. Start maybe taking classes that are going to expand your horizons, increase your skills. Start reaching out, making connections in the community, in the church, wherever you exist in life. Start making connections that are going to move you toward that goal. I knew for some time that I was not happy in my previous career. It wasn't until I actually started doing something about it that options for myself began to open up. For me, it was just simply picking up my phone and learning how to navigate certain sites on social media, learning how to put myself out there in the social media world. That was my new skill that I had to develop. I had to learn all of these different apps. I had to learn how to edit. I had to learn how to script write. I had to learn how to be on camera. So it all took a new skill. And that can happen and begin at any point in time in this process. There's so much information and knowledge out there that's accessible to us all. The only difference is you can sit and acquire knowledge all day long, but just understand it's not until you take action that knowledge is really going to come into play. Now, number 4, you are going to want to surround yourself with positive people. It is crucial that you connect with people who uplift and support you. Now, sometimes that is going to mean letting go of relationships. or friendships, yes, it is tough, but you need to understand that your environment plays a crucial role in this whole transformation. But in all of this, be patient with yourself. Reinvention is not all about the journey to a destination. Now, I learned this firsthand after meeting my personal and professional goals, only to discover I was still empty. It made me realize that life is not about reaching the end or the final point. It's about the continuous process of renewing ourselves that we undertake throughout this entire journey. It's about improving and becoming better at being the person that we were created to be. Now, life does not limit our choices. We do. It's going to take courage to step out and decide to be adventurous enough to step into those choices. You know it and you feel it. There is something more waiting. But there's going to be voices, either voices from the past, in your head, telling you what you should and should not be doing right now. Those voices will need to be silenced. Put a muzzle on them. All of this does not mean that you are not going to continue to feel the impact and the consequences of everything you've decided to do in the past. Because after all, every choice we make carries with it the momentum and the consequences of it. But we can't allow that to steal away from us the moments that we want to create in our life right now. We can't allow that to steal from us the person who we want to become. And like I said, even if you and the life that you are living are not the product of your own doing, or maybe it was the people you were born to, the place where you grew up, none of that matters. What matters is right now, you have the power to not just exist in that. And something that's worked for me is to not necessarily forget about the past. We hear that all the time. Sometimes using that past and the substance that comes from that makes you and gives you the strength to be who you are now, that reinvention of yourself that you are trying to be. So sometimes you just need to use the past to your advantage. But at the end of the day, even if it is not your fault, it is your responsibility to make the choice to move past all of that, to make the choice to go through the healing process, to use what's been dysfunctional in your life and bring it into that space in life where it becomes an asset. Now here at number 7, we find ourselves standing right here at the fork in the road. And this is where we are going to make that decision to confront all the good, all the bad, all the ugly. Now for myself, here in my 40s, this is when I have begun my journey, and I had to look at those settings as a person that had become my default and change them. Our circumstances are not the reason for our failure. It's the response that we have and the choices that we make that are going to dictate our future, regardless of the circumstances. Look at the number of people that have grown up in terrible conditions, had horrible parents, and they still excel, and they still become these awesome, wonderful individuals. It's because they made the choice to rise above that, be better, move into another season of life, and become a better version of themselves. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks. Your 40s and 50s is supposed to be that time in life when you have your crap together. Everything is supposed to kind of be falling into place, and you're supposed to be evening out and settling down, and everything is supposed to pretty much be set, right? Well, look around. That's also the time in life when you begin to lose parents. You start seeing more and more divorces happen around you, which is why you often hear that term midlife crisis. That is the point in life when stuff just really starts to happen. Yeah, you should be settled in that job. You should be on your path as far as career, and you should be accumulating those things in life that you think that you should have, right? Well, sometimes that in itself can become overwhelming. I went through a very difficult season. It was at this point that I began to really notice the strain of midlife, a season that practically broke me. I'd become completely unhappy at work. In one phone call, I lost what felt like my family, my identity. My marriage had fallen in the toilet. Shortly after that, my mom got sick with cancer. That battle she fought and won. Right after that, the pandemic happened and I lost my father to that, which left me, an only child, the responsibility of taking care of my mom. And I think this was really just the final blow. I was done. It was at this time that all I could do was just tread water to stay afloat. That's it. And then, just like that, the day came where I said, you know what? I am sick of this. I was sick of being that person that I had allowed my circumstances to turn me into. I was going to reinvent myself into someone who could endure. And so if I was going to become this stronger version of myself, I was going to need to take action. That action required me to push myself way outside of my comfort zone. But it's during those times that you learn to show up for yourself. You learn to show up for yourself without judgment. And this is where it can get really tricky, guys. You can either realize that you have entered a new season of your life, whether you wanted to or not, whether it was something you planned for or not. Every day people are bringing in new babies into this world. They are getting married, they are getting divorced, they are losing loved ones. So every single day, at every moment, someone is entering a new season of life. It's up to you to decide that you are going to transform yourself into a person for that season. Or the other alternative here is to remain the same and learn the hard way that the old does not work with the new. There's going to be that point where the old is going to meet the new, and you will have a decision to make. And that will be to step into the new. Step into the realm of ideas and possibilities. This is the moment where you are going to say, hey, I am not who I want to be. What choices can I make right now as my life is, as things stand, that is going to move me closer to being that person that I want to be, that better version, best version of myself for this season of my life. This is where you are going to take full ownership over your life and who you are. You are going to look at the places where you may have placed blame for who you are on someone else, on some other external circumstance, You're going to look at all that and say, okay, that happened. I can't change that. I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm going to move forward. This is going to be for me, about me. Bad things do not have to dictate the person that I become. You are going to take ownership and begin to create the life and be the person that you want to be. You don't want to look back on life and say what you could have been, what you should have been. To be able to look back and say, I lived the life that I was created for. I was the person, and I lived as the person that I was created to be. Now, full disclosure here, I want to be completely honest. When you actually manage to escape all of these bad choices that you've made, you are growing into the person that you want to be. At some point, you may feel lost. You will begin to experience that extreme discomfort of unlearning the old things associated with the person you were and learning new things. This is the moment where you are going to be tempted to go back to the old version of you. It's at this point you'll discover your true capacity for your fullest potential. And be careful that during this time, you yourself don't become bitter. The weight of seeing how complicated creating a new future and a new self can be can feel really overwhelming at times. But it's important that you remember during your darkest hours is when you see the brightest light. It's important that you push yourself forward so that you can see your full potential come to fruition. Now, I want to give you some help here. I want you to write down 5 positive things that will be your motivating factors for reinventing yourself. So when you hit these hard patches, you'll have something concrete to look back over on. Write down in full explanation why reinventing yourself is good for your family, your career, whatever it may be, whatever makes this change necessary and good. Write it down. What is this for? Is it for more fulfillment? Maybe you want to serve others in some capacity. Your brain is going to object to all of this changing. In fact, what's quite common is that your brain is going to try and trick you. While you are busy doing the work of trying to change, your brain is going to say, hey, you know what else is important? This thing over here. It's just as important as that self-work that you're trying to do. And you are going to listen to that, and you are going to reason out with yourself why you should be doing the other thing versus putting in the work on you. Just be careful that you don't try to justify staying in the old. Let me just say, you are going to have to fight, okay? No way around it. You are going to be having all types of internal arguments, and you have to make sure that you come out on top. You have to stomp down all of those old belief systems. You have to stomp down all of that negativity and all of that negative self-talk. You have to fight for yourself. It's okay to get lost in this process. Trust me, I spent quite a bit of time lost. There was so much that I learned during the process that kept me moving toward that person that I ultimately reinvented myself to be. And remember, guys, all of your learning should lead to action. You learn something, you act on it. It's there to propel you forward. to create momentum. Momentum that's going to get you up that uphill climb to the person you have set out to reinvent yourself into, which is that best version of you for this season. All right, as always, guys, I had an amazing time. I hope you guys found this helpful. I will be back here next week. If you found this video helpful, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Please share your thoughts and your comments down below. I would love to hear how you are planning on reinventing yourself. Until next time, guys, keep pushing forward and embrace this new season of your life.